This story is inspired by real events, but we've turned it into a playable mystery designed to challenge your mind. The Midnight Crossing. The discovery. At 6:47 a.m. on October 14th, a Coast Guard helicopter spotted a body floating in the North Atlantic shipping lanes. The crew of the Azure Voyager, a modern cruise liner carrying 2,400 passengers, had reported a man-overboard incident 4 hours earlier. By the time the body was recovered, the ship was already 8 nautical miles beyond the coordinates. The deceased was identified as Carl Warren, 42 years old, traveling alone in an interior cabin on Deck 5. He had boarded in Southampton 3 days prior, bound for New York. He had no family aboard, no companions, no record of conflict with other passengers or crew. Just a man on a ship, and then a man in the water. The last hours. Let's establish what we know with certainty. At 11:47 p.m. on October 13th, Carl Warren's electronic keycard was used to unlock his cabin door. The ship's system logged the entry. Security cameras in the corridor captured him entering, alone, wearing a dark jacket and jeans. He carried nothing. He looked at no one. Then, at 2:14 a.m., an automated alarm triggered on Deck 12, starboard side. The ship's overboard detection system, a network of motion sensors and thermal cameras, registered a human-sized heat signature crossing the railing plane and entering the water. By the time crew members reached the location, there was no one there. Just an empty section of deck, a glove near the railing, and the infinite black water beyond. We need to answer this question. Was this an accident, a suicide, or a homicide? Clue 1. The mismatched gloves. Near the railing on Deck 12, where the alarm triggered, investigators found a single glove. It's a waterproof sailing glove, the kind designed for wet conditions, with reinforced palms and adjustable wrist straps. The glove is slightly worn, not new, and it's marked on the inner wrist with faded permanent marker. MC, Carl Warren's initials. Now here's what makes this interesting. When investigators searched Carl's cabin later that morning, they found the matching glove. It was on top of his dresser, neatly placed, still completely dry. Both gloves clearly belong to the same pair. Both show similar wear patterns. Both are marked with the same initials. So we have one glove at the scene of the incident, and one glove in a locked cabin. Clue 2. The scopolamine patch. Carl Warren suffered from severe motion sickness. His medical records, accessed with proper authorization during the investigation, confirm that he had a prescription for transdermal scopolamine patches, a powerful medication applied behind the ear to prevent nausea and vertigo. When his body was recovered, he was still wearing one of these patches. It was positioned correctly behind his left ear, and according to the medical examiner's timeline, it had been applied approximately 36 hours before his death, consistent with the standard application schedule. In his cabin, investigators found the prescription bottle on the bathroom counter. 2 patches remained inside. Now, scopolamine is effective, but it comes with warnings. The documentation included with the prescription specifically lists side effects: drowsiness, confusion, disorientation, dizziness, and in rare cases, hallucinations. The warning label advises against operating vehicles or machinery and cautions users to avoid situations where a sudden loss of balance could be dangerous. The question is, was Carl Warren impaired when he went to Deck 12? Or was he thinking clearly? Clue 3. The railing and the deck. Deck 12 is one of the highest accessible passenger areas on the Azure Voyager. It's an open promenade deck that wraps around the forward section of the ship, exposed to wind, spray, and the full enormity of the ocean below. At the location where the glove was found, The railing is 42 inches high. That's standard maritime safety height, designed to prevent accidental falls. It's not a low barrier. To go over it, you need to either climb or lean far enough that your center of gravity shifts beyond the balance point. This doesn't happen by accident easily. The railing itself shows no damage, no dents, no scratches, no signs that someone grabbed it desperately or that anything struck it with force. The bolts are secure. The structure is intact. And mounted on the wall 8 feet from the railing, there's an orange life preserver in a bracketed case. It's the kind designed for quick deployment in an emergency. You pull it free, throw it toward a person in the water, and the attached rope allows you to pull them back. The life preserver is still in its bracket. If Carl fell accidentally, if he stumbled, lost his balance, and went over in a moment of panic, would he have reached for something? Would there be any sign of a desperate grab, a scramble, an attempt to save himself? The deck is clean. The railing is undamaged. The life preserver remains in its case. What does that tell you? Clue 4. The locked cabin door. At 2:14 a.m., when the overboard alarm triggered, crew members were immediately dispatched to search for the missing person and to investigate potential origins. Standard protocol required checking recent passenger movements, reviewing camera footage, and securing any relevant areas. By 2:40 a.m., after preliminary camera review suggested Carl Warren as a possible victim, security personnel went to his cabin on Deck 5. The cabin door was found closed and automatically locked, as is standard with electronic keycard systems. The keycard log shows only one entry at 11:47 p.m., Carl entering the cabin. No exit swipe was required to leave the cabin from the inside. When crew used an override key to open the door, they found the security chain was not engaged, but the door had been fully latched. Everything inside was quiet, lights off, no signs of disturbance. Carl's room keycard was on the bed, along with his wallet and his phone. His shoes, casual sneakers, were placed neatly beside the bed, not kicked off, but positioned as if deliberately removed. So here's the problem. If Carl left his cabin and went to Deck 12, how did he exit without his keycard registering on the system? The security logs are clear. One entry at 11:47 p.m. No exit. There are 3 possibilities. 1. Carl left through his cabin door, but due to a technical glitch or blind spot in the logging system, the exit wasn't recorded. 2. Carl never left his cabin willingly. Someone removed him or forced him out, then locked the door from the inside, using some method we haven't identified. But how? 3. Carl left his cabin, walked to Deck 12, and what happened there was planned. He left his keycard behind because he didn't intend to come back. Which explanation fits? Clue 5. The personal items. Let's talk about what was found in Carl's cabin, because these details matter. On his bed, arranged in a loose cluster near the pillow, his phone, his wallet, and his room keycard. Not packed away, not hidden, just there, as if he'd emptied his pockets before lying down, or before going somewhere he didn't need them. The phone is particularly important. Battery at 12%, not dead. The last activity logged at 11:52 p.m., 5 minutes after Carl entered his cabin. He had opened a weather application, checking ocean conditions and wind speed for the current location. Why check the weather at midnight unless you're planning to go outside, or unless you're seasick and you want to know if the conditions will get worse? The wallet contained his identification, credit cards, and approximately 180 pounds in cash. Nothing missing, nothing unusual. His shoes, as mentioned, were beside the bed. But here's what's interesting. Carl was found in socks, not barefoot, wearing socks. which means he either left his cabin in socks or he put on different shoes that were never found. Now, in the bathroom, investigators found something else. In the trash bin beneath the sink, there was a second glove, damp, crumpled, and torn along the seam near the thumb. This glove also had Carl's initials marked inside. It was the match to the other two gloves, the one found on deck 12 and the one on the dresser. 3 gloves, 1 pair, plus 1 damaged. So Carl had brought a backup. He'd torn 1 glove, thrown it away, and had a replacement ready on the dresser. But why was the glove in the trash damp? Had Carl worn it earlier in the day, during daylight hours, and it had gotten wet then? Or had something happened in the cabin, something involving water, that we don't yet understand? So now you have the evidence. He was last seen entering his cabin at 11:47 p.m. The overboard alarm triggered at 2:14 a.m. Just a man in a cabin, and then a man in the water. 3 possibilities. Accident. Carl, disoriented by medication and seasickness, went to deck 12 for air. He misjudged the railing height, lost his balance, and fell. Suicide. Carl planned his death. He checked the weather, left his belongings behind, went to the deck at night, and climbed over the railing intentionally. Homicide. Someone forced Carl overboard, then staged the scene to look like an accident or suicide. What happened to Carl Warren? Click on the correct answer and face the consequences. Make your choice now.